Hi everyone, it's Jill, the Top Heavy Yogi again. This is my second video. I just posted a video yesterday. I'm not planning on doing daily videos, don't worry. But I realized when I was watching the video that I posted where I talked about my shoulder injury, I left something really important out. So I talked about this history of the shoulder injuries and how a couple of months ago I started noticing if I slept on my left side, I woke up with pain in my posterior deltoid, and that kind of radiated all the way down to my elbow and my fingers, and how initially we thought that there might be a compressed ulnar nerve or something along those lines. But I left something really, really important out, and that is that I was also experiencing pain in certain yoga poses. And these were poses that I know well and I love and I do all the time normally, and I couldn't anymore. I mean, I could, but not without a lot of discomfort, and I couldn't hold them for very long. And there are a lot of poses I had to take off the menu, and there are poses that I've still got off the menu and probably will for the next 6-8 months. But one of those poses was Urdhva dhanurasana, also called wheel pose or upward facing bow pose. They're all the same thing. So Urdhva dhanurasana is a pose that means a lot to me. I love this pose very much. When I hurt my shoulder 2 years ago and I was rehabbing it, it was when I was able to do Urdhva dhanurasana that I realized I was going to be okay. The first time I got into Urdhva dhanurasana, I started crying. So I had some struggles not being able to get into this pose, like emotional struggles. I think if you're a devoted yogi, you know that there are those poses that mean a lot to you, and then when you can't get into them, it's tough. But there is actually a way that I can practice this pose, and that I've been able to continue to practice this pose, not frequently because I don't want to exacerbate anything, but occasionally. A couple of disclaimers here first. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm a 200-hour certified yoga teacher, and this is something that I learned in my yoga teacher training that works for me and it works for my students. Secondly, if you don't already practice Urdhva dhanurasana, I wouldn't recommend starting off this way. Thirdly, you should be warmed up when you practice Urdhva dhanurasana. I've already been practicing for a couple of hours today, so I feel pretty okay with getting into Urdhva. So this is a modified Urdhva dhanurasana. This works for me with my labrum tear. It works for people who have really tight shoulders, who have trouble getting their arms all the way up or have trouble pushing up into Urdhva dhanurasana. It helps with external rotation. So it allows you to kind of keep everything broad as you push up rather than having to broaden as you push, which is often the problem. And I'm able to do this with no pain in my shoulder. I am about 2 weeks and 1 day ahead of surgery, and I'm able to get here. So this might be something that works for you if Urdhva dhanurasana is a struggle for you just because of tight shoulders, or if, like me, you have a labral tear. Whether you have decided not to have surgery or whether you've decided to have surgery but to wait a little while and you still want to keep practicing, this might work for you. So you're going to need 2 blocks. I've got cork blocks right here. I don't have foam blocks at home. These are 3-inch blocks. 3 or 4-inch blocks will work either way. It doesn't matter that much. But you do want to make sure the blocks are nice and dense. So foam, if you're using foam blocks, you want them to be a high density foam rather than that really soft foam that you kind of sink into. Wood blocks work fine, but they can be kind of slippery. This is one of the places that I am very grateful to have cork blocks. Not always grateful to have them. Sometimes they're a little too hard, but they work here. So the other thing you need is a wall or a door, because your blocks are actually going to be propped up against this surface. And you need your yoga mat because you don't want the yoga blocks to slip when they're propped. I happen to be on carpet here in my home studio, so I don't have to worry as much about slipping, but I'm still going to move my mat over to the wall to get that little bit of extra protection, just in case the blocks decide to slip a little bit. So my mat is now all the way up against the wall. And I'm going to set the blocks up at about a 45-degree angle on the wall. And those are going slightly wider than shoulder width apart. So depending on how broad you are in the shoulders, you may need to put these all the way to the edges of your mat or even wider. I find that if they're too wide, then I don't have the strength to push myself up. So that looks about shoulder height to me. The blocks look like they're at about the same angle. And I'm gonna go ahead and lie down for my Urdhva dhanurasana, my upward facing bow pose. So right now my head is between the blocks. I can actually feel the blocks on my ears. Again, you might find that you're more comfortable with the blocks slightly wider. My feet are about hips width distance apart, maybe a little bit wider. Knees point straight up to the ceiling. And then my hands go to the blocks, and you can see my fingers are pointed down and forward. So it's basically facing the same direction your hands would be if they were flat on the floor, just up at an angle. So once you really feel like you've got your hands firmly there and you've pressed into the blocks to make sure they're not going to slide, push down into the blocks and just come up onto your head first. So when you're up on your head, a lot of times when we're doing regular Urdhva dhanurasana, this is an opportunity to adjust your hands. I'm adjusting my block a little bit. This one looks like it's a little bit low. And then I'm pushing all the way up. And you can see, even with my injury, I'm able to do this with straight arms. Now, you might find that your feet, your legs are kind of trying to do some funny stuff. That's because your hands are elevated. So if you need to, you can walk a little bit closer and come up onto your tiptoes. But you can see, even with my shoulder injury, I'm able to get pretty close to this wall here. And I start to feel a little bit of pinching there, but not really too much pain as I come down. So that is Urdhva dhanurasana with blocks to the wall, and my pants are falling down, so sorry about whatever you're seeing in this video. If you have shoulder injuries or tight shoulders, try this trick, see if it works. Maybe talk to your doctor first before you try anything, but I'd love to hear how it goes. So good luck. I will be checking in, I promise not every day, but I didn't want to let this go unsaid. Take care.